On this one, we're going to be looking at the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 770 in SLI configuration. So we're going to be running two identical cards in SLI, and they are identical. I did double check. They are the exact same card. This is the ASUS DirectCu2 OC model, released May 30th, 2013. The overclock is kind of a bullshit overclock. It's not a real overclock. It's 1% on the base clock, 2% on the boost clock. That's not real. That's margin of error. Okay, that's literally margin of error on a Firestrike run. So same with the memory, nothing on the memory. So it's effectively a fairly generic GTX 780. So as you can see, it is a good looking card. I got no complaints about that. I wish that the heat pipes were exposed copper. I really like the exposed copper heat pipe look, but very big heat pipes coming out the top, and you can kind of see them coming out the bottom. I do think that this is an overbuilt card. So if we look at the power, it uses a 6-pin and an 8-pin, which is kind of average for the time. Low would have been 2 6s. A 6 and an 8 is kind of average for an upper mid-level card. But the actual recommended power supply is only 550 watts, with the card having a TDP of 230 watts. So it's clearly overbuilt for what it is. I'm thinking maybe they just had multiple cards and they just made one cooler and said, we'll just use the same cooler for everything. And again, as you can see, two PCIEs, a 6-pin and an 8-pin. So this will run on almost anything that you could put it in. You're not going to have issues with this. Even a moderately, unless you try to put it in a pre-built like a Dell or like a Dell Inspiron box or something like that, you might have trouble. But so it does have the standard for the time complement of ports, with our dual DVIs and a single HDMI single display port. Back then, DVI was still kind of a big thing. You still got that on a lot of monitors. People still used it a lot, so it still has it. It is SLI capable, as you can see. Obviously, we are running in SLI mode. These can, I believe, run 3-way, which I don't know why you would run 3-way on a upper mid-tier card, but you can do it. Maybe I'll use my other my non-matching 770 and slap that in just to see. But for this video's purposes, we're running dual whatever you call it, dual SLI or dual card SLI. I can't even remember the proper terminology on that. But let's talk a little bit more about the card and do a little bit of background, and then we will jump into game testing and see how it runs. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the GTX 770 before we get started looking at the game demo and that kind of stuff. So first of all, as you can see, I've got two of them. There's one in the system and one right here. They're both identical cards. This is the first one of these demos that I'm going to be doing that's focusing on both of the cards running in SLI. Again, they're identical. These are the ASUS DirectCu2 cooler GTX 770. So a couple interesting things on this. So my first thing with this card, if you're looking to start collecting GPUs, this is a card I would seriously consider starting with, because these are bottomed out. These are bottomed out on price. I'm picking these up for, I think I've gotten some as low as $20. Some I've paid as much as like 35 or 40. I think I have 3 or 4 of them now. They're so cheap. And as always happens with GPUs, they will go back up. So what happens with GPUs is they're worth a ton of money for a certain period of time, basically while the card is useful for whatever is current generation games. These can no longer play new games that come out. They ceased being able to play AAA new titles realistically, I bet the last AAA titles these could run were probably somewhere around 2020. In Cyberpunk, as it was originally released, was on the very outside of playable on this card. You could make it work if you weren't too picky. Cyberpunk, as it sits today at the revision it's at today, is not playable on this card. Not really. Not at what any person who is not for anybody who isn't intentionally saying, I like low frame rate. I'm okay with low frame rate. You've got to turn everything down so low. You've got to turn the resolution. You've got to turn the settings down so low and then be so tolerant of low frame rate. It's just such a compromised experience. I cannot call it playable. I just can't. And if you've watched any of my stuff, you know I am not picky. I really am not picky, but it's not within that realm of playable. So I'm going to say 2020 is the very outside edge. And then what happens is there's kind of a little bit of a secondary market. It retains a little bit of a value, especially when you get like the crypto crazes and stuff like that. It'll make cards like this have a little bit of desirability to them. But then they get to a point where they totally bottom out. And that's where this is. Now, what happens after that is they sit at that bottomed out price for a little while. I think there's just attrition. Cards die. They become rare. And they go back up. It's really stupid. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I really would like to know who's paying, who's paying $450 for Titan Zs? Who's doing that? Who's paying $450 for Titan Zs? I get it. There's a coolness factor to it, but the freaking card is useless. The only person it's useful to, same with stuff like this, is generally speaking me. And the reason for that is because people like me. There's other people who do what I do. And the reason for that is because of the fact that cards like this, they're not that much cheaper than, say, a 980 or something like that. You bottom out on price. 980s are still useful, and those are only like 15, 20 bucks more if you look in the right place. So who's buying these? Who's buying 770s other than people like me? And there are so many of these cards on the market. There aren't that many of me, okay? There may be hundreds of people doing what I do. Not enough to long-term support the number of these cards that are being sold. So I'm kind of confused as to what's going on when I see these prices. So the SLI on the games that support it, and I will say we didn't do the normal complement of games. Normally I do like Cyberpunk, Fortnite, and then a random complement of games. This time we focused on SLI. I only demoed games with good SLI support because that is what we were focusing on, was the GTX 770 and SLI. I did another one a few weeks ago on a different version of the 770 running as a single card. So for this, we're focusing on SLI. So the setup that we used, you've seen this a lot. This is my 4th generation build. It is an i7 4790K. It is not overclocked. It's not screwed with. It's just an i7 4790K with a big freaking cooler, so it can just do whatever its boost gig is, and that's that. It's got 32 gigs of good G.Skill Ripjaws RAM. I'm going to guess running, I think it's 1600. I don't think I put 1866. I think 1866 is the fastest you can get. I don't think I put that in any of my systems. But it's good 1600 DDR3. It's on a good board. So the components, aside from overclocking, the components are going to be able to do as much as they can possibly do. And the games that I tested did show really good performance in SLI. Pretty much everything that I tested that could run was able to run at a decent frame rate at 1440p. The only SLI supporting game that I ended up not using was Deus Ex Mankind Divided. I could not get it to a really good playable level. That game is surprisingly demanding. I'm going to have to do some work with it on some higher end systems and see what it takes. But that game is surprisingly demanding for how old it is. But other than that, I saw good results even up to Far Cry 5. So let's jump into the game demo. I did stick with the 2 to 3 minutes per. I think I was able to capture parts of the games that showed enough action and enough utilization on the system that it it did what we needed to do, and we didn't need to run 5, 6, 8, 10 minutes per game. I'm trying to keep these videos to a manageable level, so let's get into the game demo, and you can see what I saw with the GTX 770 in SLI. This is Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So let's take a quick look at our settings. It's pretty darn close to maxed out. So we're running 1440p. All the settings are turned all the way up with the exception of the anti-aliasing. There are a few additional anti-aliasing options. I found they generally didn't do much to make it look any real better than it does right now. And they really drained on the frame rate, so I decided to leave it at this. This is pretty much the best you're going to have this game looking. It's really, there's not a lot to do. There's not really far to go from here. So it is pretty cool, though, because the SLI, so I've got the NVIDIA SLI indicator running. That's that green line that you see down the side. I believe the way that works is each GPU represents the far end of that line. So, and then you can also see underneath that the GPU usage, and they are scaling pretty evenly within about 1% or 2% of each other. So this is a fairly well optimized SLI experience. Definitely nothing to complain about. So we're just having some fun here, playing around. I've actually been playing for several hours. It's trying to get to a place where I wanted to be. Oh, he's trying to throw a bomb at me. There are certain things I really do not like about this game. One of them is that the character, your movements and response to commands isn't exactly what I'd like. It's a little slow. Definitely not. Come on, go. That's what I'm talking about right there. You try to do something and it just doesn't let you climb. There you go. It's just not as fast-paced as some of the other games, some of the other Assassin's Creed games, some of the newer ones. I don't dig it. It's kind of fun. I mean, I don't hate the game. I just, I'd really like to see a little bit higher, a little bit faster pace. It's like everything you do, there's like a delay. Anytime you tell it to do something, it's like sometimes it cooperates, sometimes it doesn't. Maybe it's just me, but it just seems a little slow. Let's go see if we can find some British officers to kill, because apparently that's what you do in this game. Okay, so that's a good quick look at what to expect with Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and on to the next one. This is Crysis 3. So taking a look at our settings, we are running 1440p, pretty close to, oops, that's not auto, pretty close to maxed out. Looking at the advanced options, it's a few steps less than maxed, but this is a pretty solid this is a pretty solid showing for the best that you can expect from hey, how did that not kill them? That really should have killed them. Wow, I should have used arrows on that one. Okay then. Yeah, this is a pretty solid representation, especially compared to what was available at the time. This video card was high-end when the game had just been released. So this was about as good as you were going to be able to reasonably get at the time. Obviously, we can do a little better today, but in 2013, this is about as good as it got. So, And we're hitting pretty solid frame rate. You could turn it down a little bit, and it's not going to look much worse. Oops, did he just kill me? I think they might have gotten me. Oh, maybe they didn't. Definitely getting some frame rate drops here and there. Yeah, it was quite a while after Crysis 3 was released that you were really able to max it out. Same thing with the original Crysis. These games were fairly substantially ahead of their time. Oh, I think he got me. Did I get him? Oh, I got him, but the other guy got me. Okay, that gives you an idea of what to expect with Crysis 3. Let's move on. This is Call of Duty Black Ops 3. So looking at the settings, running at 1440p. Settings are, I don't know, apparently something about it's only giving me medium to high. But it's as high as it'll let me go. With the oh, nope, that's as high as it'll go to. So everything's as high as it'll go at the moment. Frame rate's fairly good. It's a little inconsistent, though, is the only problem.
Whatever the opposition. Okay, I've loaded a second cyber ability into your core. Firefly, a swarm of incendiary nanobots. Let them loose and see what they can do.
I've always liked this one. Something about this game. It's really fast-paced. I like fast-paced games.
I'm starting to like it.
Oh, look, they killed me. How'd they do that? Darn it.
Okay, I've loaded a second cyber ability into your core.
Come on. I don't even have it set to difficult.
Okay, I've loaded a second cyber ability into your core. Fireflies, a swarm of incendiary nanobots. Let them loose and see what they can do. Nice work. Firefly swarm is sure working him.
Yeah, as you can see, there's some pretty dramatic upswings and downswings on the frame rate, so... if you weren't running at 1440p, it would probably be a little better. But it seems like most of the games that this can run, it can run at 1440 with the SLI. For games that actually support the SLI, it's a pretty big performance gain. I'm actually really impressed.
Not bad, new blood.
Unfortunately, SLI support dead ends pretty much at 2018. So anyway, I think this gives you a good idea. So I hope you enjoyed this quick look at Call of Duty Black Ops 3. This is Battlefield 1. So taking a look at settings, I'm running it at 1440p and the high setting. I actually was expecting this one to be able to run ultra at like 60 FPS, but I guess I'm wrong. But the SLI is definitely helping. So let's just have a little bit of fun with it for a couple of minutes and see how it runs. See if I can keep from dying. I'm guessing on this particular game, anything over, I don't know, 30 FPS will probably be smooth. I mean, it's... A lot of these older games, you didn't really need 60 FPS to look good. Usually people couldn't even hit 60 FPS depending on the system. Oh, they're trying to kill me. Usually I play the... Oh, they got me. Usually I play the desert campaign, but I figured I'd show something different this time. Come on, load.
We need to find a way past those on.
Well, good thing somebody else got him, because I sure couldn't. Yeah, it definitely looks pretty good, though. It's not bad. I don't think the Ultra setting would have given us a whole heck of a lot more. As far as how good it actually looked. Usually the high setting is about as good as it's going to look in most cases. What is this, a shotgun? This is a shotgun. I'm not usually a shotgun kind of guy, but here it seems like it might be useful. Okay, so that gives you guys an idea of Battlefield 1. Let's move on. This is Dying Light. So taking a look at our settings, it's pretty much maxed out. I've got everything turned all the way up and maxed, so it's pretty maxed out. And we are running 1440p, which, as I've noted on some other games, it seems like most stuff that this can handle, it can handle it at 1440. The dual 770s aren't that bad. They'd probably be a lot better, though, if they were the 4 gig version. I think, yeah, looking at our memory usage, we're definitely getting up there on memory usage, that's for sure. But even so, it looks pretty decent. I'm definitely not unhappy with it. Now I gotta figure out how the heck to... It's one of those games with stupid puzzles. I hate puzzles with a passion. I just want to shoot something. Okay, how the heck do I get up there? As you can see, there's a pretty wide swing in the frame rate. But if you look at the GPU utilization, they're definitely scaling pretty well. So you've got both GPUs hitting upper... maybe that's how... Oh, there we go. You've got both GPUs hitting upper 90 percentiles, so that's not bad.
It's been 3 months now. When will they let us out? Come here. I've got a special deal for you.
I have seen a few somewhat annoying lags. I suspect, so this is running off of a hard drive. I do suspect that there could be some issues that would be helped. What does this thing want me to do? I am so confused. Okay. Oh, is Dude Face moving and I have to follow him or something? Okay. I don't know. Anyway, this gives you guys an idea of what to expect on Dying Light. This is Titanfall 2. So, taking a look at our settings, it's fairly high. It's not maxed out. It appears that, like a lot of the games, the 2 gigs VRAM on this GPU really seems to hold it back. But it's pretty good. I would call it a straight high setting. It's kind of hard to say. This doesn't have presets, but I would call it a high setting for most games. So this is a rather fun game. I forget what I'm supposed to do here. Oh, wait, that's what. That.
Activating turrets at southeast.
Oh, look, I'm gonna die. Oh, maybe not. I was gonna die.
We have an intruder, heavily armed and dangerous. All units of the area proceed to the
This is a really fun game. This is a scene where you're kind of traveling back and forth in time. I end up getting killed by some stupid dinosaur.
Someone give me a location!
Kind of confused as to what these are even for. I thought they were supposed to shoot at me. I am going to run out of ammo. For those who don't know, whatchamajigger, Apex Legends is based on this game. Those dinosaur things on one part, and then you get the dudes trying to kill you on the other part. This is another one of those really fast-paced games that's like a ton of fun. Okay, so that's a solid look at Titanfall 2. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Far Cry 5. So, taking a look at our settings. So, we are running at 1920 1080 and high. Unfortunately, the video RAM is definitely tanking us here. These two cards with more video RAM, I bet it could probably max the game. But, oh, wait. Oh no, we're okay. Yeah, we're good there. So if you look, both cards are pretty evenly used. But I can pretty much guarantee, I mean, look, yeah, it's like hitting the limit of the video RAM. But it's running pretty good. I mean, so this is the newest game that I have come across that can actually handle, or that can actually run SLI. Which, there are people that are mad about that, but I would say SLI was the thing from basically 2005 with the GTX, or the, not GTX, with the 6800 GT through 2018. That's 13 years. I mean, that's a good run for a technology. Oops. And I think I killed an ally. Now she's going to try to kill me. It's hard to tell on here sometimes who's enemies and who's not. Look, we hit a bear. See if I can find a cultist to run over here. Come on, where are you guys? No cultists to hit. That's a shame. Okay, I hope you guys liked that quick look at Far Cry 5. And let's move on.